Hello, this is Doug, the 2 Minute Gardener. Now we're going to go into a big project. Huge 4,000 square foot concrete driveway with some Palomino color mixed in and some plants at the end. Here's the before. House in East County getting renovated. They had a big driveway. They wanted a big driveway because they had RVs and trucks and other things. And it was also just because of how far the house was from the street. So I designed a driveway that mixed in some planter beds just to break it up so it didn't look like a giant stadium parking lot. And we got to work. This driveway is so big it had to actually be poured in 2 separate days. 4,000 square feet takes about 100 cubic yards of concrete. And as you've seen in my other driveway videos, obviously you have to do the rebar. Now, occasionally I'll get a letter from a viewer saying, how come they don't have crushed gravel underneath the driveway? This particular project took place in a part of San Diego called Granite Hills. And it's called that because those hills are made of granite. They are never going to move. So they didn't need crushed gravel for this. Anyway, they're pouring the concrete. So you got a crew pouring, a crew finishing. And as you'll see in just a second, a crew doing the top cast. And so the reason I always recommend top cast concrete finisher is when you have these driveways that have some slope to them, you really need something to kind of help with the slip resistance, and Topcast really does that. And you'll see some pictures of the Topcast a little bit later in this video. Anyway, hot day, so again, those guys are working hard, pouring the finishers, and when you have a driveway this size, you need to have a big crew because you have to work fast to get that concrete formed and finished, and then use the groovers to put in those expansion joints. So those joints are really important whenever you're doing a driveway. You want to keep them at least 6 feet, at most 6 feet apart, because guys, you know, concrete is going to crack. It just is inevitable to crack. So those control joints control where the concrete cracks. And so that's why it's really important that you put those control joints every 6 feet. 4 feet's better, but on a project of this size, 6 feet is really kind of what we had to do there. So here we are, day 2. They're pouring the concrete. They're working hard. Same process as before. Again, this is a concrete color called Palomino, and it'll dry to a little bit lighter than what you see. Concrete color always comes in darker than when it first, than how it ends up finishing up down the road. So now they're working their way down the hill toward the street. Same process. Some guys are floating. Some guys are screeding, which is what you do when you have those long 2x4s to get it nice and flat and level, kind of a rough finish, as you will. And then some guys are using these groovers to do the expansion joints. And they just work their way down, all the way down to the street. And once all that's done, and again, here's the little thing about the control joints. And again, really important you use these groovers. And the way you use it, you actually use some string lines to snap a string line to get a perfectly straight line, and then go back with the groover. And then as you can see in other parts of this video, those guys are working hard to kind of float around where the control joints went so that you get a nice smooth finish when it's all done. And there's the guy snapping the line. Again, snap the line to do the joint. So now we're back to the top cast. There's that top cast finish. Spray it all out, and then the next day they're going to come back and hose it off. And the idea behind the top cast finish is, again, they are going to, it kind of eats the top layer off and leaves a nice grit to make it not so slippery when you're going up that hill. Because when you're driving up the hill and it's raining wet, you want to be able to, get some good traction. So the top cast is really important for driveways on a slope. And here we are. So now it's starting to become obvious there's a big hole, and I wanted a big hole. And there's the close-up of the top cast. I wanted the big hole because I didn't want just a big giant driveway. I really wanted some plants to kind of soften up the front of the house. And so now it's time to bring in the plants. And then so here is the a week later, after everything is dry and we can actually walk around on the driveway. First thing I have to do is level it off with some good planting soil. just to make things a little happier for the plants. Whenever I'm doing these big projects, I'm always kind of having this little mini conflict between Doug, the designer building hardscape, and Doug, the plant nerd, who wants the plants to have the best possible thing. So after I talked him into getting a big old bulldozer to move things around, they said, well, let's use the bulldozer to unload these big ass trees. So here we are with these 700-pound crepe myrtles. These are 36-inch box trees that they're bringing in, and rather than bring in 5 guys to move the tree, they just load that baby on the bulldozer. I was cringing while I was watching this, by the way, how they were kind of like bending the trees out from the truck. But they got it out, and they got it all over there. So again, these are crepe myrtles. These are wonderful flowering trees. They're drought tolerant, fire resistant, flower in the summertime. They're going to get about 20 feet wide by 20 feet tall, each one of these. So they're going to add a tremendous amount of summer color. They love East County here in San Diego because they love that heat. They are not good trees for coastal regions because they will get some mildew on them in coastal areas. But no problem with mildew here. It was hot and we're getting to work. So as you can tell, because they're flowering, it's August and September when we did this work. All right. Important to mix in some good soil amendments into the hole. Mix them in when it's kind of easy when you have the Bobcat. And then, again, because they only had the 3 guys, you chain the tree up with some 2x4s with the Bobcat, and they're fine-tuning it, moving it. Again, I'm watching this. The plant nerd in me is watching this very, very nervously because they're just swinging this thing back and forth. I'm waiting for them to snap that tree off, and then it's no longer a single trunk tree, and it'll develop into multi-stem. But they did manage to get all the trees in location. And again, as you've seen in my other videos, when you're dealing with trees that are this big, you basically get them into the hole, you tilt them to one side, and you break the box off. Also, I always recommend when you're dealing with iffy soils, mix in some Grow Power Plus. Always do a little watering well to kind of soak it well. And here they are. The trees are in the ground. They're flowering. They're going to be just gorgeous over the next 30, 40 years as they fill in. Then it's time to use that rest of that good soil and flatten it out, and then finally come back and add all the rest of the plants. Some lantana, some Mexican bush sage, some lion's tail, lots of colorful hummingbird plants that are going to do well in East County that don't mind the heat, but they're all part of a drought-tolerant garden because this entire planting bed is going to be on one valve. So it's really important that these are all plants that have similar water needs. Salvias, butterfly bushes, all kinds of other wonderful plants so that it's going to be a really colorful summertime garden. Well, that's all the time we have for today. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button and share it and subscribe to get more of my garden videos. Until next time, this is Doug, the 2-Minute Gardener, saying thanks so much for watching.